Okay, so when we are reviewing a place or when we are rethinking about, where we went for holidays, we usually think in terms of, the scenery, maybe the monuments or the museums, or particularly food or culture that is present there. But uh, we I think most of all of us, even everyone, ignores how that particular place has shaped the people living there, personalities of the people living there. And I think the book that I am going to talk about, The Hungry Type, it talks about, by Amitav Ghosh, talks about that in great detail. And it takes the reader, when I was reading it took me around like very different territories of how normal human life are capable of living. And most of the things that is talked about, most of the things I don't think I have words to explain clearly, but I feel like those things are needed to be said. If we are talking in terms of like my favorite character, my favorite character is Fokir. He's a fisherman, and he most of the things that he says in the book, or he has like, I feel like he's probably, okay, the light went down. Okay, so if I talk about which is my favorite character in this book, it is probably Fokir. And I think the reason for that is that he is such a simple character, and like he doesn't have much of dialogue written in the book, I think so, as I have read through it. But still, it's maybe how the way other characters react to him. It kind of felt like this character was missing in whole of novel history, or maybe it's just me. Maybe I haven't read about any other character similar to him, but again, he has less dialogues and he is a simple person. I think I have to read what I have written in my notes to see so that I can convey it clearly. Okay, so he doesn't really want anything more but to know more about the roots of the river. These kind of characters reminds me about simply how hard it is to remind ourselves of what we actually want. Maybe it was his life with his mother in the village he went as a refuge with his mother, Murji Japi, I think. Or him never leaving his tied country, which was Garjantola. His tied country. For him, it came naturally to work with the river. He was able to not complicate it with expectations or greed, because after his mother died, no one around was there to make him obliged to do that. Sure, he had a wife and a son, but by the way he is portrayed, it seems that his philosophy of living a life somewhat is different. And I have a hard time defining this different, explaining right now. And maybe it's because I have lack of words, or maybe I'm not good at communicating, and both of them are true in their own way. I think when I first heard about, first got introduced to the character in the book, it was like, okay, this character is quiet, this character may be shy, and this character maybe just doesn't care. But he does care about his wife and his son. But it's maybe like his definition of living life is not really that he needs to provide his wife and son of something, better, and maybe he wants them, I think maybe he wants them to live with what they with already have completely and contently, which I feel like is something. Of course we want if I of course I want my parents to have everything better in life, but I don't think his philosophy is also wrong, that he is going towards more like I am okay with what I have. Even though he is a fisherman, fishermen are not financially well off, but I think his characters makes me realize about what finance actually is. It kind of made me think about what is money, like what is money to me, and like of course there's also a lot of practical and logical ways to think about what is money to a person, but his character made me think about it in a way that I wouldn't have thought about. It was like maybe we were always good enough, but we always want better, and maybe when we are always at the drive of wanting better, we kind of lose the track of being that we were good enough as we were, and maybe we don't need to get better. But again, getting better is not a bad thing, but I feel like his character is kind of like presents us with this contrast, or with this dilemma of life, which I like. Do you want to get better, or are you good enough? And both of them are good at their own place, but I think for me this character thought let me think about the way how I view money in a more philosophical way, rather than we need money for future, we need money for future, we need money to live a life. Of course those are actual things to think about, but so next character that I found very interesting was Pia. So Pia is a marine biologist, like a researcher who specifically is working on researching about Irrawaddy dolphin, and she has worked on Irrawaddy dolphin in every single, like in a lot of different parts, but for a reason she never worked on it in Sundarbans area where they were first originated, and which is obviously surprising, because if something originated from Sundarbans and it's her country as well, like she is also Indian. I mean, she is American, but she has Indian lineage. So why she never thought about going there is a bit surprising for me, and or maybe I'm a bit biased towards her because I also work in biology, and there's like in initial chapter of this book there's a talk about how species were like not named properly, and then there were a lot of like different there were a lot of like species that were named the same thing, named this like one species was 3 species were named like as the same species, but they were different species, and I just found that part interesting because I'm like, oh, that I have learned about that in my classes. But one of the things that made her stand out to me was a story gives a lot more specifically emotional point of view of what is working in a research field is like, where you have to change places every time, and also where you have to change places every time, feels like. Honestly, I sometimes have a hard time explaining her drive towards learning about sea and dolphins. It definitely shows that she is passionate towards it, but it also feels like she isn't really emotionally attached to it. I think it could be because of one of her past experiences, which made her not to trust people, or maybe it could be that over the years, when you work with something, you kind of lose some things as you gain more experience. So if I try to like put all of those things in simple words, it would be that when I was reading her character, it was, again I'm going to quote myself again, that she loves seas and she likes working with dolphins, but something about the way that was like whenever she talked about it, it felt like it is very structured, like she was it felt like she was not trying to be emotionally involved to it. And later on the book, there is one like a chapter where she is mentioning about how she doesn't really trust people. There are like two stories where she never really trusts people. One regarding her work, where one of her seniors, sell one of the dolphins that she was working on to a museum to get more money, because that dolphin species was rare. So the senior will get like money out of it, and because of which she got like nightmares, but she didn't understand why she is getting nightmares. She wasn't attached. She has said that she wasn't attached to the dolphins, but maybe she was, and she never realized it, who knows. And next was like she keeps switching her places because she has to research on same species, or like when she is doing research on dolphins, she has to change her places as she is working on more ecology and more sea types. So she has to go travel different seas, different oceans, and different water bodies. And in particular, with one of the person she meets, she opens up to that person, and that person is not supposed to be trusted, we later found out. And I will mention that there is spoilers, so yeah, don't watch this if you are planning to read it, and if you don't like spoilers. So it's like when I read her, of course, again, when people are working, and they're trying to find a job, they aren't really of course, some people have dreams and some people don't. Some people who have dreams, they do end up getting their job, and they do it, and that's it. Maybe the last line that I have said about her is that when you are doing something that you like, you kind of lose some things as you gain more experience in it. And what I meant is that when not everyone has dreams, not everyone wants to live their dream. Maybe that's a conscious choice, maybe they don't want to live their dream, and that's fine. And some people just wants to do a normal job and maybe their point in life is to get paid well. And I think her character is more showing us the reality of people who do follow their dreams. And like I think there are characters in other novels who do follow their dreams, but they don't really, but they have hard experiences in it. But I don't think it was written the way that she was written. Hers was more like she is doing work, she's, by the time her research is progressing, her like skills are progressing, she's getting results. She's not getting like a very enormous result, she's not getting like very enormous awards, but she's getting results, she's like going by. But as she is gaining more experiences, maybe the initial feelings that we have with our passions or with our dream kind of tones down. And I think that is very real, because I feel like sometimes I'm also working in a lab and I love that lab, but there are also times like, oh my god, I'm so tired. I feel like it's just tired. I think she's also just tired, and maybe I like her. Again, I feel like I'm biased towards her. Maybe I like her because she's tired, and I don't think I am any level close to her, because her level of research is, I mean, also this is fiction, but her level of research is way more hard, and she has gone through stuff actually while doing her researches, while conducting her research. So yeah, it's just like, I think there aren't a lot of characters to I don't think any character is the same, but it's just like these two characters I have never actually encountered, like these kind of two characters, like who, or maybe just like Amitav Ghosh had a really he was really particular about what kind of traits or what kind of personality he want these characters to have. Like these feel very like thought out characters in my head. And yeah, there are more characters, like obviously there are more characters. This is a not really like, it's not, this is a decently long book, and I don't think it can run on only two characters, but what if it can? There are more characters. Like I think Nirmal and Nilima have a good dynamic, like have a interesting dynamic. They are a old couple. They are old couple, but it doesn't hide. This book doesn't hide the fact that people think, and it's just like, I feel like we need to portray these kind of things more, so that it is more normal to think like that. Like I think there's a lot of videos in School of Life which talks about envy or jealousy from like your partner, and I think their relationship, Nirmal and Nima, kind of shows it in the best way possible. And at one point, Nirmal, he's not, he's a like a principal, but he's not like as reputed as he was when he was like working. He was like a journalist and writing. As Nilima has become like a very respected person in the village later on, but Nirmal has not been working on his writings much, and he is not remembered like that as he was used to. He was, so he kind of feels sometimes a little bit jealousy, a little bit envy towards her wife, and it's not like they are, it's like it's draining their relationship, but it is something to be talked about. It's just like, it doesn't hide away the fact that it is not a straight line. It will go somewhere. So, and you have to maybe in life figure out what bad things in someone you don't want more than the fact that what good things you want. You may really not want like someone who is jealous of you, so just be just be prepared that there would be something else bad with them. Of course, I'm not saying it will bring up the point that like you will end like if toxic, not like toxic kind of thing, but everyone is bad. I feel like everyone will have some bad things, but it's just like we have to check in with ourselves of what kind of bad we can put up with and what kind of bad we cannot. And yeah, so I think it's just I think they have an interesting dynamic. I don't really have much to say. They were kind of like Nirmal wasn't really a side character. I feel like in the whole book, like half of the book, he was trying to tell Kanai like help Kanai with all of the context, and like he was kind of like working as a mentor, even though like he's not like physically there. He's like present in the form of a book that Kanai has. So yeah, it was. I like Nirmal and Nima dynamic. That's all what I want to say. So at the end, what this novel shows, I think this novel shows about the intricacies of how people live in the tight country, Sundarbans, where it focuses most on how everything and everyone is attached to the place or for some reason don't want to leave it, as if they are hungry for the tides, and hence the name. And the name of the book is The Hungry Tide. And there are multiple instances where people are like, we don't want to leave, we want to stay here, or they just come back from other place they used to live to like start living, make a whole new living in this place where no one has ever lived before. There hasn't been any inhabitants, and even though the government is threatening them to live there, they still want to live in the tight country. And also the animals don't want to live, even though they end up dying there. They will not they are animals, but like it's like for some reason every single character in this book is hungry for living or staying with the tight country. And it's just like, and I kind of realized even though the name of the book is The Hungry Tide, I kind of like realized the whole theme like a bit like middle of the book, when there was like a scene where the people actually kill a lion or tiger. I think it's a tiger. A tiger, just because it was harming them, and they don't want to vacate this place just because a tiger is here, so they will kill the tiger. I don't think that's like a thing that people should. I don't think people should do it, but it's just like that scene made it clear. Oh, that's the whole theme of the book. Like no one wants to leave. Even Pia came to Tide Country because at the end it was calling her. The tide was hungry. The tide was hungry indeed. Everyone is hungry for the tide apparently. Okay, so yeah, this book, even though is fiction, does not use it to soften up the hard parts, but in most cases shows it in more detail. And this book is fiction, but when I was reading this book, it felt like it was all real. I cannot believe that this is a fictional book, because I feel like it just felt real. It felt like, of course it would have happened. Of course, of course there is a tiger dead, that someone killed it because they. This novel tells the truth of how people try to survive and how they are betrayed. While reading it, I could clearly feel that the person must have talked to or even live in the place, met the people similar to the characters. When I completed this book, it was pretty clear that the amount of detail this book has regarding the characters and the place, it was clear that the writer definitely went there, and he even confirms it, if you read his author's note in the end of the book, which says, which like even shows the research papers, like which is not published, and which is not published because people didn't let it get published. And it's like, I feel the most of the characters in this book is based on the real people that he has met when he was researching for what to write for this book. And Amitav Ghosh is most of the themes that he writes about is really more about the environment based, or like more ecological based topic. Like he focuses more on seas and ocean areas, like more near the peninsular areas. And it's like, it's a very niche, I think, theme to have for a writer, because there are writers who write on romance, there are writers who write on magical realism, there are a lot of writers who write on magical realism, but I feel like there are not enough writers who write fiction ecology based novels. I feel like that's what I will call it. I don't think Wikipedia defines it as that, but like I haven't encountered this type. This is my first time I'm ever encountering it. It's not even like a biographical thing. He's not writing about what his experience was. He's made a story, like he's trying to explain how people live in that area. Not even people, even the animals. He has, like, there have been, like, he has shown details about the routes of the dolphins that the dolphins took, how storm is taking place, how people are saving themselves from the storm, and how they are working with the GPS system. Like, it's just like, wow. It's like, I feel like he may have done more research than a normal researcher does sometimes, because it's like, wow. It's just like, wow. This is truly one of a kind novel to write by a very unique author, Amitav Ghosh, whose writing style was truly something light went out, sorry. Whose writing style was truly something which stood out to me, and I cannot explain, but that's just, I think I'll just leave it there. His writing stood out to me, and his writing was one of a kind, and definitely one of very niche themes that you can write on in a fictional way. I feel like I don't know how he even came about building his whole writing journey in this niche topic. Like, that's like not a very conventional way of thinking, but I will definitely would like to know, so I will probably search on that now. So yeah, this was how this book felt for me, and I feel like even the whole world is amazed by this book. That's why the light keeps like switching on and off. So yeah, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.